Hello everyone. In this story, the police found a dead body inside a hotel without the signs of violence on the place or in the victim itself. It appeared to be a natural death, but after it was transferred to a forensic medicine, the events changed and turned from natural death to a murder. So let's start. This cause began in the year of 2010 in September. A 50-year-old man called the Greek Lansik entered to the hotel in the city of Beaumont, which is located in the American state of Texas. The name of the hotel is The Elegant. During that period, Greek used to go to the city every week and live in the hotel. This was part of his work in the unit from the oil companies. His mission was to secure lease contracts for the lands that the company wanted to drill in the city of Beaumont. Every week he would get out of his car from the state of Louisiana and the trip take 2 hours until he reached the hotel. In that day, everything was as usual. Greek changed his clothes and sat in the bed, started flipping through the TV channels. Actually, in his 50th year, he decided to live a quiet life. When he went to the hotel, he would sit there most of the time and not only leave only when he would go to the working. An important thing that it is necessary to know that the Greek loved to turn on the air conditioner at the highest level, especially in the state of Texas. At that time it was very hot. On the night of this day, the air conditioner was on the highest setting as usual. He was sat watching TV and smoking. And here we must know that Greek was a heavy smoker and he did not care about his food. Usually, every morning, Greek called his wife Susie, but this morning he did not call her. So Susie was surprised that Greek did not call her, so she tried to call him, but he did not answer. Actually, she did not feel comfortable, so she tried to call him in his office at work, but he did not answer either. She tried to call him more than one time, but with nothing. After a period of time, one of his colleagues in his office responded and told her that the Greek did not respond, and his colleague was surprised because the Greek did not arrive to the work until now. After that, his colleagues went to the room in the hotel and knocked to the door and called him more, but without any response. They called the hotel management and explained them the story. So one of the employees went to the Greek rooms and opened the door to the room with a spare key. And here was the shock. Greek was lying on the floor without any movement at the first time that they saw him. They called the ambulance and they came with the police. And the investigators, Scott Appel, was one of them. He is the member of the police who was the main investigator in the evidence. He took many pictures of the place and there was no sign of a quarrel or fight or anything like that. After a period of investigation, investigators Abel examined the vault and it contained more than $1,000 million. That means that there was no one trying to steal him. And they examined Jack's entire body and there is no sign of injuries or beating in him. After Apple finished examining the room, the employees began to respond if they noticed anything, and the only thing that they noticed last night that the Greek was making popcorn in the last night and there was electrical short and the electricity went out from his room and the neighborhood rooms. So as a natural reaction, Greek called the hotel staff and the maintenance worker came and fixed the vault. In the next room, they were electrical workers who worked for one of the local oil companies. But they said they did not see anything strange, but also they said they were drunk last night. After the investigation concluded at the scene of the event, the body was transferred from the forensic pathologist. At this time, the investigators called Susie and told her about the news. She was very sad and upset and shocked about the news, and she came to Texas as soon as possible. When she met the investigator's Apple, he told her that her husband dead as a natural death. At this time, forensic pathologist Tommy Brown, he was dissecting the body and examining it completely. He had a prior idea about that Greek was mostly dead as a natural death because that there was nothing indicating that he had been assaulted. But the doctor discovered another wound for the Greek's insensitive place in the left side. But the biggest shock was after the doctor dissected the body and saw the internal organs, he found that the Greek body was completely destroyed from inside. And he was in a severe internal bleeding, and most of his internal organs were damaged. The doctor wrote in his report that it was a murder. When Detective Appel saw the doctor's report, he was shocked and asked the doctor how. And the doctor replied like that: I do not know how to explain that to you, but it is the only analysis of the condition of the Greek organs inside him. And here the investigators must take it seriously and go to investigate in the matter again. And he came back and investigated, but he was unable to find anything. After that, the investigators Abel sat with the Greek's family and asked them about the Greek's past. He was trying to find something that could someone make to kill him, but the Greek was a peaceful person and he lived in a simple life and happy. Here, the investigators felt that all of the doors were closed. There is no evidence was obtained once of several months without any result. After 7 months without any results, Susie decided to hire a private investigators to research in any result in this case. And here the family suggested to her Detective Ken Prent, who was one of the strongest and most famous investigators, and he solved many large complex cases. When Ken heard about the cause, despite being busy with another important causes, he decided to take over the case. After receiving this case, he took the first plan and went to the state of Louisiana, the state which the Greek family lived there. He met Susie and asked her about sensitive questions, but everything was fine except the health aspect. After he investigated with the Greek family and obtained complete information, he decided to go and investigate in the crime scene at the Elegant Hotel in the state of Beaumont. And when he arrived, he met the detective Abel, who was responsible for the investigation, and they were in the highest degree and understanding. After they met, they went to the room 348 in the hotel. Investigator Ken began examining the room in all its corners and everything in it. And after a period of examination and security, the investigator Ken noticed that a mark on the wall and asked Detective Apple about that. And he said, this is the mark of the door when he opens. It hitting the wall because of the mark. Here, Detective Ken returned the door in the last thing, but the mark was on the right side of the door. This means that the mark did not match to the door handle. Here, Ken brought a pen and inserted N on the small hole in the wall. In fact, the pen entered on the wall, meaning that there was a hole in the wall, not as a superficial trace. They decided to went to the next room to find what was on the other side of the wall. Actually, they called to the hotel staff and asked them to open the room. The first time they were entered the room, but before that, they noticed the wall from the second room. There was no trace. But here, Ken began to wipe the area opposite the opening Greek's room. And here, a white substance began to crumble and emerge from the wall. It was clear that it was used to cover the opening from the side. Here, Ken began asking Detective Abel about the people who were in the room in that night. And Abel told him they were 3 electrical workers for one of the oil companies, and he integrated them, and they said they did not notice anything strange in that time. Here they made a decision. They should integrate them again. But before that, Ken asked for a laser and inserted it into the hole from the second room. When it was illuminated, reached the laser directly to Greek's bed, where he was sitting. And here the investigator Ken began confronting everything in his mind. And he said in an intelligent way, what happened to Greek was a hit by the battle, and the forensic doctor overlooked for the battle because the chokes inside the Greek's organs and the unusual bleeding. But the problem here, Greek's body was burned, and there is no way to research for the battle as evidence. Here it is the time of investigation, and the three workers were Tim Stimes, the second one is Lance Mueller, and the final one is Trini Bassano. They decided to integrate them again, but everyone was on his own. They called them and they said the matter was as routine to producers to close the cause as it is normal. The first one of him is Tim. They asked him to repeat what happened in that night. Tim told the same story. They did not see anything or hear anything except the electricity cutting. After that, they asked him to sign for the statement and to swear that he told the truth and it was the truth. Tim was signed and swore. Tim wanted to go out, but the investigators stopped him and told him that you now signed on a report that was all of lies and swore to it. And we know that you are trying to protect your friends, but you put yourself in a crime that you did not have. So we know the truth and you should tell us about that to help you. But they actually did not have any information. As soon as Tim started speaking and swore to them that it was just an accident, Tim continued his word and said, that time we were coming back for the work with a large amount of alcohol, and we entered to the room and started drinking. While drinking, Mueller told them that he had a gun in his car. And for some reason, he went down for his car and got the gun. He took the gun and started playing with it and throwing it randomly and aimed it to his friend by mistake. He persuaded the gun and the battle was fired from the gun and hit the wall. After that, we felt a state of extreme terror. We remained silent and trying to hear if anyone was hurt or something like that, but without any reaction. Actually, we put a toothpaste on the wall to hide the hole. We thought at that time that the matter has passed peacefully and no one noticed it. In the next day, they heard about the death for the person in the next room. But when they heard about the police report, as it was a normal death, they were not external injuries, so we remained silent and did not speak. And after Tim's confession testimony, everything became clear, and the same story which Trini confessed. And in this way, there is no way for Mueller to deny committing the crime. Finally, Mueller was sentenced to 10 years, and the others were not sentenced. So, here's our story. If you like the story, don't forget to put like, share, and subscribe.